Most of us have been in a situation where we sat down to listen to an oration or presentation, sat there for roughly 30 seconds, and then your mind tunes out subconsciously. It doesn't matter how insightful that message may be. It doesn't matter how well the speaker prepared or how engaging they may think themselves to be. The bottom line is that the opening of any good presentation or speech is very often one of the most important aspects of the speech itself. Because the hard truth of public speaking is that if you lose your audience within the first 30 seconds, it becomes exponentially difficult to get them back later on throughout the oration. So in this video, I want to discuss why is it that openings of public speaking are some of the most important aspects, but more importantly, the best ways in which you can begin your next speech, oration, or presentation. Now note that these concepts are universal. They can apply to any sort of speech, any sort of topic. There is no such thing as the perfect or universal opening. As you progress through this video, take these suggestions as advice rather than demands, because at the end, you know best what you're talking about, and it is your job to create an opening with your mind that can best capture the audience's attention. So the first question we have to ask, even before going into all is this, why exactly do first impressions matter so much? The simple answer lies in human psychology. Our brains are constantly deciding what deserves attention to the conscious mind. We can only pay attention to approximately 5 or 7 things at once, and naturally, your mind has to decide whether your speech is worth your attention. It's that simple. We are constantly bombarded with advertisements, conversations, and more. And as a result, it is a general universal rule in public speaking that both the openings and closings of your speech are some of the most important and memorable elements. This is because, naturally, when you begin your speech, the audience is most probably going to be listening. When you close your speech, the audience will still be listening because they naturally wish to know how the speech ends and round it off. As a result, as speakers, we must pay important attention to how we structure and deliver our openings in order to ensure maximal impact. It doesn't mean you have to be dramatic or necessarily theatrical. Very often, those types of openings can sometimes even hinder the speech itself. The most common mistake when it comes to delivering opening is delivering information that doesn't necessarily create any interest. For instance, take this opening. Hello everybody. Today, I'm going to deliver a brief presentation regarding communication. Now there's technically nothing wrong with the opening itself. It's polite, it's clear, and it delivers the main point. The problem is that this opening leaves the audience out. It doesn't give them a reason to continue listening. Think of it like a business. When you're starting a business and you have investors, You naturally want to please those investors by giving them an active stake, an active role within the company. As speakers, think of your audience as potential investors, even if it's not a pitch or a persuasive presentation. One of the best ways to give your audience a stake within your speech, and the very first technique we're going to discuss today, is starting with a question. It doesn't have to be fancy. A rhetorical question would do very nicely here. For instance, instead of merely starting a presentation such as, "Today, I'm going to talk about communication," why not begin with something like, "Why is it that if you've ever had a good idea and yet you still struggle to explain it to somebody else?" While that question may have not been the best fit, the point is that the audience will naturally wish to respond, whether it be consciously or subconsciously, and as a result, they wish to continue listening, to continue to hear the answer, and to better solidify their interest. The audience isn't just speaking anymore or listening. They are mental participants of your oration. A good question creates curiosity, which will naturally capture the mind and make them more likely to be engaged in your oration. The second technique is to begin with a short story that is relevant to your topic. Our minds are naturally hardwired to favor stories over bland thoughts. Humans are wired to pay attention because it naturally creates interest for the mind. For instance, let's go back to the communication example. My original line was, "Hello, today I'm going to talk about communication." Why not start off with a story of somebody attempting to deliver a presentation and yet failing to communicate? For instance, there was once a boy who was giving a presentation in school. His name was Josh. He had the perfect idea, the perfect story, and yet, the moment he stood up in front of his class to deliver his presentation, he fell short. He wasn't able to communicate effectively. He lacked cadence and speed, and as a result, he failed to communicate his ideas. Notice how that sequence of events naturally creates more continuity and flows better with the rest of the speech. This helps create interest, which as a result makes the audience more interested and wishing to learn what exactly happens next. The third technique is to begin with a surprising fact or statistic. Now, you might have seen this in writing, possibly, to write the hook or an introduction. And in reality, public speaking is just like writing, just in a verbal manner. Delivering that fact or statistic not only immediately teaches your audience something new that enriches your topic, but it can even surprise them, allowing them to stay more interested in your oration. A good example of this would be saying how the average person speaks thousands of words every day. And yet, did you know that only a small percentage of the population ever learn how to communicate effectively? That statistic, while it might have not have been the most revolutionary, it only enriches the topic as a whole. The audience knows I'm still talking about communication, but now they are more aware and naturally going to be more likely to listen to the preceding facts or slides. Technique number 4. begin with a bold statement. Bold statements are meant to be used carefully. Remember, at the end, you're giving a speech. One of the biggest threats with this is making your speech sound too dramatic or theatrical, when in reality, perhaps a more formal approach would be better. Let me give you the introduction I gave in a speech regarding the Constitution and civic ignorance. We are standing at a crossroads of our democracy at a time when information has never been more accessible. The sum of human knowledge resting at our fingertips, glowing at us from screens. Notice how that bold statement, crossroads of democracy, instantly captures the essence of the speech. It makes the audience surprised, which in turn makes them more likely to listen as a whole. The best ideas are often communicated with a strong and solid hook, a strong introduction. And that's why the fifth technique, perhaps the most universal, is the most simple of all. Why should your audience care? Many speakers tend to spend several minutes in the background information without even discussing why their topic matters. If you're giving a business pitch, talk about why that business matters to the people, why it matters to you. When I start writing my introductions, I have only a single question in mind. Why should my audience care? When you state the reason your audience should care, perhaps by sharing a story, an anecdote, perhaps something else, you give the audience an emotional stake within your pitch or presentation. And that's why the best way to do this is by knowing your audience. Know who you're speaking to. Be aware of what type of presentation you are trying to give. Whether it be a research, a presentation, persuasive, an interview. Because at the end, you could have some of the best ideas, the best qualifications in this world. But if you lack that strong first impression that can capture your audience's attention, you risk those ideas being dissolved into nothingness. Once again, if you've enjoyed this video regarding openings and do in fact feel that public speaking has benefited you in your lives, be sure to like, subscribe, comment, and share. And I'll see you in another video.